Up, up, and away for a competition that's been sailing across the skies since 1906. Unlike the more colorful or creative hot air balloon events you might have seen before in the US or Europe, this one's all about distance. It's called the Coupe Aeronautique Gordon Bennett, named for an American publisher and adventurer who funded car races, yachting events, airplane races, and events like this. The goal? Fly a gas balloon as far as you can from the launch point, which this year was in Germany. From there, 21 balloons, each with its own team, floated west. And while most of them made it over the Pyrenees Mountains, only 3 made it to the southern tip of Portugal, where a team from Austria managed to stay in the air longer than anyone else. The winning distance? Almost 1,312 miles over 3 days. I'm Carl Azuz. This is the world from A to Z. Fridays are awesome. Facts. So good to see you this September 20th. The United States Federal Reserve has lowered its key interest rate. Why does that matter? Well, the interest rate is one tool the central bank has to try to influence the U.S. economy. After inflation heated up in 2021 and things we commonly buy started getting significantly more expensive than they were before, the Federal Reserve started raising its interest rate. What that does is make it more expensive to borrow money because people have to pay back more in interest. And the idea is that if it slows down Americans from making big purchases, the decreased demand will keep prices from rising so fast. After hitting decades-high inflation in 2022, the rate of price increases did start to slow down, and it's getting near the lower level the Fed is comfortable with. But the bank doesn't want the economy to stop growing. And this year, there's been a small increase in the unemployment rate, the percentage of American workers who don't have a job, and that's not a good sign for the economy. So by lowering the key interest rate, as the Fed did this week, it's hoping to keep the economy strong and growing comfortably. However, the Fed decreased the interest rate by a bigger margin than many economists expected. The bank indicated it's confident this is the right move based on where the economy stands. But some critics say the bigger rate cut raises bigger questions about whether officials are concerned about a possible economic slowdown. We'll only know the answers with time.
Word of knowledge. Which of these planets was named for a mythological Roman messenger god? Neptune, Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury. It's the fastest planet, the closest to the sun, and the least studied rocky planet, and its name is Mercury.
Take a look at the closest ever flyby of our solar system's least explored rocky planet. This amazing up-close time-lapse tour of Mercury comes courtesy of the European Space Agency's intrepid Bepi Colombo spacecraft, which is only the 3rd craft ever to visit the solar system's smallest planet and the first to get this close. The planetary pass-by is relived through 3 separate camera angles, one of which captured a stunning view of the planet's signature Vivaldi ring crater formation, named for the famous Italian composer whose iconic Four Seasons Concerti was sampled by the ESA as the soundtrack for the vivid video voyage.
Another space story in the news has a really attention-grabbing headline. The Earth's about to get a temporary mini-moon, but reality may be less earth-shaking. Here's what's going on. A small asteroid is headed our way, and some scientists think it'll get caught in our planet's gravitational pull. That means it could begin to orbit the Earth like the moon for almost 2 months starting on September 29th. Afterward, the asteroid's expected to get free of Earth's pull and resume whizzing around the sun. So what's underwhelming about that? The rock is tiny, it won't shine like the moon, and most people won't be able to see it, even with store-bought telescopes or binoculars. Still, a Spanish researcher who's been following this told Space.com that professional telescopes should be able to pick it up. On this date in world history, Rome wasn't built in a day. But Italy was reunited on this day in 1870 when Italian troops took control of Rome and ended centuries of its being ruled by the Pope. The city was eventually declared the new capital of Italy, and Vatican City would later become an enclave surrounded by Rome but led by the Pope. On this date in 1881, Chester A. Arthur became the third U.S. president to serve in that same year. It had begun with President Rutherford B. Hayes in office, but he was just finishing up his term. James Garfield had been elected as his successor, and he was inaugurated on March 4th. But in September of 1881, President Garfield died 2 months after being shot by an assassin. So his vice president, Chester Arthur, took the oath of office and assumed the presidency on September 20th.
Where in the world? This is a nation with 3 capitals. It shares its name with the continent where it's located. You'll find it between the Atlantic and Indian Oceans. This is South Africa, whose capitals are Bloemfontein, Cape Town, and Pretoria.
Some of the fine feathered Halloween costumes you'll be seeing next month have features originating in South Africa as ostrich feathers, and they've been fashioned in more ways than you might think.
Just strutting their stuff at a farm in Oudtshoorn, South Africa. It's the ostrich capital of the world. From dusters to boa scarves, about 70% of ostrich products globally originate from South Africa, including feathers, leather, eggs, and meat. Ostriches are a bit odd-looking full-grown, but they sure are cute when they're little. Just don't get attached. These ostriches are on a farm after all, raised for their gorgeous feathers. In the 1900s, feather priced by weight rivaled that of gold. Fashion has long been the main market for local farmers, the lush plumes used to decorate luxury hats and eccentric dresses. Here, workers sort, cut, wash, and dye plumes in lots of colors. But as we know, fashion is fickle.
Early 1900s, with the invention of the motor car, there was a huge drop in the whole feather industry because feathers were in those years used on hats. It was a big fashion, and of course you can't get into a car with a hat with an ostrich feather.
No matter, he says, the industry always bounces back. During the coronavirus pandemic, for example, people didn't care much who wore what, but they sure were cleaning. Feather dusters kept the industry afloat. All parts of the ostrich are supposed to be used, so nothing is wasted.
Always love seeing my Bulldogs, and even though these aren't from the University of Georgia, they're still unleashed at Bowie High School. Mr. Richardson's class is watching from Austin, Texas. Next, we've got some Panthers on the prowl. Miss Gordon's students are with us today from Stuart Hobson Middle School, and even though their class is in Washington, D.C., some of the senators watching are from the Silver State of Nevada. Mr. Meyer's class is at Carson High School, and that's located in Carson City. Some homes feature a built-in panic room for added security. This place going up for auction in England is a panic room, a 1950s Cold War era decommissioned bunker. It's quaint, meaning garage-sized. It's packed with features like a stocked pantry with a mysterious substance on the door and an asbestos fire blanket, which should stay locked up. But that's not all. If you want a place that's a secure 14 feet below ground and boasts its own unused chemical toilet, you'll only need to sink about $25,000 to get hunkered in a bunker that's really nice below the surface, has classic subterranean architecture, requires no window units, allows you to live in if not off the land, helps you weather any fallout from moving, and is perfect for a buyer seeking something grounded in security. I'm Carl Azuz, planning to surface on this show again next Monday. We hope you have a great weekend. This is The World from A to Z, and you mean the world to me.